Yeah.
Laken Riley's killer sentenced to life in prison after heart-wrenching plea from her family. Rob, if you can please play this clip.
Dude.
With what this looks like. I mean, you watch this. This is painful. Go ahead, Rob.
I'm so proud of Laken and the beautiful person she was. And while I can stand here and try to tell the world the things that made her such a wonderful person, as well as the many things we have all been robbed and deprived of, I think one of her last journal entries dated 12/17/23 says it best. So here we go. To my future husband. As silly as I feel writing this, my old small group leader once recommended it, so here I am. To my future husband, I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be. By working through my current relationships,
the
that's
killer is
preparing me
sitting
for
right
ours.
there.
With the
and our
checkered
kids
blue.
one day.
To the left.
The checkered shirt there?
Yep.
I'm focusing on God and what He defines as a faithful Christian life, and so that I can best embody those characteristics. I pray that you know that it is with my full faith and trust in God that I know this relationship has been handcrafted by Him. I pray that we continue to glorify the Lord, prioritize Him in every aspect of our lives, and raise our family, our future family, to be God-fearing Christians as well. I pray God is the center of our relationship as it is a gift from Him. I thank Him for you before I even know you, and can't wait to love you in the best way I know how for the rest of our lives. I pray you know and feel the importance of my love and hopes for our relationship. No matter what challenges we face, I pray that our trust in God and love for one another overrules the obstacle. May our relationship last forever. Your future wife, Laken. That, Your Honor, was our beautiful Laken. That, Your Honor, is just a glimpse of what was tragically and brutally taken from her and us that day.
Oh, man. That's, first of all, damn. Can you go to Tom first? I don't even think I could talk right now. Tom, can you just give her a shout out, Tom, for fighting for 17 minutes from this guy? Man.
She fought like any of us would fight, and the horror of what she went through has been made clear to us because of the technology, what we have on the phone, and it just underlines the horrors that we're capable of. And this guy came here, was without, inspection, and this is what you get. If you don't check at the door, this is what you can get, and this is what you lose. You lose what is terribly precious in the face of political expediency, because you want anyone to walk in unchecked for political expediency. But this is what you get. This is a consequence that is there. And this consequence lies at the feet of those who defend unchecked, unbridled immigration. We are all here from somewhere else, but we were checked at the door. And those that weren't checked and didn't, that the filter of justice didn't properly, protect our communities, our people from this is what we get. And that's the pain we inflict on people there. Right there, we are all Laken's parents. We are all feeling that. We are all listening to that. And I believe that the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ is on that guy, because I don't know if I would have been able to read that way with that grace and dignity that he was only 9 feet away from my daughter's killer.
Yep.
And I admire him. My prayers go to him for his healing. But this is what you get. In the name of political expediency, this is the consequence. This is when the human consequence becomes real. When it's no longer words on news shows debating. This is when the consequence becomes human and permanent. And it sits at the feet of those that want unchecked immigration versus orderly immigration, where people can experience the blessing and the joy that is in the United States of America. But you don't check it at the door and you just let the filter come in. This is the consequence, and this is what we want to protect our citizens from. And I'm disgusted by what led up to this, but I admire that father is able to stand there with that grace, but I am absolutely horrified by what's happened. And you see the killer there sitting there. I'm sure he's probably shackled, but he's sitting there with nary a tear and just sitting there staring at the father. His heart is so dark.
There's actually a clip that Rob, if you want to play the other clip,
He's so dark.
I'll just send it to you.
Yeah, and
this is a clip that's being shown, and then I want to go to Tom Homan, because the most incredible thing here is when we're talking about, we're fighting for women, we're fighting to protect women, we're fighting to protect women. Here's Riley Gaines' tweet from a few days ago, and she talks about Laken fought for her life for 18 minutes. Don't you dare tell me I didn't vote to protect women. Play this clip, Rob, and watch his reaction.
February 22nd, Jose Ibarra put on a black hat, a hoodie-style jacket, and some black kitchen-style disposable gloves. And he went hunting for females on the University of Georgia's campus. And in his hunt, he encountered 22-year-old Laken Riley on her morning jog. And when Laken Riley refused to be his rape victim, he bashed her skull in with a rock repeatedly. That is what this case is all about. The evidence will show that Laken fought. She fought for her life. She fought for her dignity. And in that fight, she caused this defendant to leave forensic evidence behind. She also marked her killer for the entire world to see. The forensic evidence that he left behind in this fight is his DNA, and only his DNA and Laken's, underneath Laken's right fingernails. He also left behind in a struggle with her over her phone, because the court will hear that she called 911. He left behind his left thumbprint on her iPhone, which was found not far from her body at the crime scene. And it is that forensic evidence alone that would give you enough evidence to find him guilty as charged on the counts in this indictment. But the evidence in this case will come in basically three forms. There'll be forensic evidence, there will be digital evidence, and there will be video evidence. And all three forms of those evidence will point to one person, Jose Ibarra, as the killer of Laken Riley.
Go ahead, Benny.
Cold as ice.
By the way, when you tell me, when that lady earlier on CNN is like, I live in those neighborhoods, it's mothers and their children. If you decide to mass deport, people like me will be out there protesting. Are you going to protest against this? This guy's a guy here from Venezuela. He's a gangster from a Venezuelan gang. That, when we talk about Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, they're like, that's nothing compared to what some of these guys from this Venezuelan gang does. Okay? What are you going to do with that? Are you going to protest on behalf of her? Are you going to go out there and say anything about it? You were claiming, the lady earlier that says if you go out there, you know who I'm talking about, Rob. You played a clip. And by the way, this is what Tom Homan had to say about this, Rob. And I think in this clip, he does talk about the Laken Riley case. Go ahead and play this clip. Go for it.
Laura, a lot of people ask me why I get so emotional when I do Fox News and why I scream at members of Congress. Because I've seen so much tragedy. I've talked to hundreds of angels and moms and dads who buried their children because they're killed by illegal alien. This is the latest. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by members of cartel. When you look in her eyes and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her soul, and her life will never be the same. I mean, it's just, I'm tired of it. And the government failed the Laken Riley family. Not only, if President Trump was president, he'd be sitting in Mexico in the Remain in Mexico program. And if he did get to New York and he was arrested for injury to a child in New York, I used to be able to arrest him because the priorities under Trump were if you're in the country illegally, you're a target. But because Secretary Mayorkas put the priorities so low, even the injury to the child didn't meet the standards, so ICE could even place a detainer on him. So this is purely, it could have been prevented. This young lady's dead. And I want every mayor, every governor of a sanctuary jurisdiction to listen to that tape, listen to this young girl fight for her life, fight for her breath, trying to survive, terrified. Think of I want you to understand what she went through. Like the 9-year-old boy, the 5-year-old boy in the back of the tractor trailer that I held, I found him dead, baked to death. Mm-hmm. I thought about what the last hour of his life was like. You need to listen to this tape. And for those governors and mayors that are saying they're going to stop Tom Homan, they're going to stop President Trump, shame on you. Your responsibility is to protect your communities, and that's what we want to do, is protect your community.
That's why many millions are happy he got that job.
Probably besides,
love it.
Matt Gaetz and them, I think he is absolutely the best one. Because now think about it. Now for this evil rapist, murderer, gang member piece of, I don't even want to say his name. He's going to stay alive for the rest of his life, and our tax dollars are going to pay to keep this guy alive. And just to bring it all the way back to the beginning, why is he here? Why is that guy in this country? He came into Texas because he knew it was wide open, went to Texas, got a ride to New York, Pat, and then in New York, got a free humanitarian flight to Georgia. Why? Swing state, battle state, all that shit. This is the left's way of importing votes, and their votes mean more than your lives and your kids' lives and our lives. And I'm sick and tired. AOC, Biden, Kamala, every hearing I've heard where they're like, these kids, it's not about the kids. It's about illegal people coming here, and one death, guys, Tom, one death. Laken Riley's death is enough for me, okay? So if we need to use the military, so be it. Because one of our lives, to me, is worth more than 1,000 of these pieces of shit that come here and they kill our people. That's it. So bring the military, and I don't want to let them cry. Let them be like, oh, grabbing kids. I don't care at this point. Because you know what that means, Pat? They have audio of her fighting and crying on a 911 call.
It's horrible.
Like, what are we talking about? So I don't want to hear the Michelle Wu. They can all kiss I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear it. Bring in the military. Get them all the hell out of here. Shut the border down. There's no more question of it because it's for votes. It wasn't for, we care about. They care about this guy. They don't give a damn.
One life, George Floyd, was enough to justify a whole summer of riots and protests and destruction. And the loss of George Floyd was a tragedy. It was tragedy how he died. It was tragedy he was such an addict. It was tragedy the whole thing happened. But one life was enough to justify in the liberal mindset the entire summer of property destruction and protests and all that went on it. But now you come back and we're talking about one life here, and it's not enough to get you to get behind sensible immigration policy and sensible assessment of who's coming in and who should be and who is a legitimate refugee from Iran under a failed administration and a family that can come here versus people just walking across that have got criminals in their midst. I'm sorry. If one life is good enough for that, then one life is good enough for this. And I think the future looks bright because there's enough people that are going to stand up to it and they're going to ask for it. And they just did on November 5th, and they're asking for the results. He's been nominated to help get the results. And I think people need to stay out of their damn way and let them execute the results.
Well,
Amen,
I totally understand why we're all emotional about this situation, because Laken Riley is basically a symbol of why America elected Donald Trump. I mean, talk about the convergence of the broken immigration system and the policies the Democrat establishment has basically resurrected between the trans rights over basic normal women's rights, right? So that letter to her future husband, are you kidding me? What type of woman these days actually writes a letter like that? So something to think about with Laken Riley is her name is going to live on forever after her death. She has a legacy. Even though she wasn't able to create her own legacy, basically we were able to make it for her. She's a symbol of what women what women should be these days. So, this letter to her future husband where she's saying, I'm going to make this house a home, and I've got dreams, and I'm going to be a nurse, and I'm going to be a great mother, and I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, and I have values, and I have principles. Women don't necessarily think like that these days. We've seen this. So, Trump's talking about making America great again, and I get
Not
that.
Not many.
Right.
There are some that
They're very
do, but
few,
not many.
is
right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
Trump's talking about making America great again, but Laken Riley is sort of in the camp that's trying to make women great again. I don't know many women that talk like that these days. The Democratic Party that doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman. Here's a woman fighting for her life who wanted to be a nurse, who wanted to be a wife, who wanted to be a mother. And then you juxtapose that with this surgence of this 4B movement where women are out there, and not the most attractive women, let's face it, who are claiming they're not going to date, they're not going to have sex, they're not going to marry, they're not going to have children. Nobody's interested in those women. Laken Riley is a symbol of who would be an ideal wife, is a symbol of exactly who men are more interested in these days. And her life was unfortunately taken by this guy, but her name will live on forever.
That letter was a vision statement. She believed the future looked bright.
There's no question about it. By the way, this is in life. Sometimes strange things happen simultaneously, where some of it is extremely unfair when it happens. Extremely unfair when it happens. And you never know when it's taking place. And it's typically when there's so much chaos, so much division. It could be in the family, it could be in a country, it could be a company, it could be in anything that takes place. And then all of a sudden you see certain stories that brings people together, and you realize common sense prevails. Of course, one of the other clips that we didn't see, I think it's the sister that said, I'm willing to give up everything I have just to have her back with me. I've seen so many of these clips when I go through them. Listen, I got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. It's the last thing you want to see a parent go through. May God continue to bless the Riley family. The fact that Laken wrote that letter to her future husband, that means the right values and principles were taught in that family by mom and dad. Obviously, it's been a while since this happened. Condolences to the family, and justice has been served. Of course, based on what you're saying, for a guy like that, we have to use our taxpayer money to take care of this guy in jail for the next however many years, 60 years. He's a young guy. Maybe that's the conversation of a death penalty when somebody comes here illegally and does anything to any one of our citizens. You're not only here illegally and you kill one of ours, it's not even a hesitation. We're not going to spend a penny on your life. Death penalty, take this guy out. It's a conversation that maybe needs to be had at the next level. Anyways, guys, this is one of the reasons why we're optimistic. The right people are finding each other and willing to fight for individuals like her and many other individuals to prevent future Laken Riley stories from happening. At the end of the day, I think God is good. That's where my confidence comes from. Our message here is future looks bright. We're optimistic that the right people are finding each other, working together, and have the courage to go out there and do their part. If you watch this show, because a part of that DNA and the wiring is in you as well, you matter just as much as everybody else does. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.